In the last video help, we were reviewing the employee screen. Let's go to the navigation menu, and we were on the employee screen, and then we worked with the popovers. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the individual screens for each of these that you're seeing here. Let's start out with the travel portal and see what it looks like when you go through and go to the individual employee records in the popovers. In this case, this is employee and the travel planner. And for example, if I were in the office, there was two ways that I could look at this. If it was on my personal device, I could go in and look at any of the travel I wanted to look at. If I were a person in the administration group and I wanted to see who was on what travel, if this was on the cloud server, I could use the do action menu, start a find, and find by any of the fields that you see in this group. The only limitation you have if you're using it on an iPad or an iPhone as opposed to the cloud or on a Windows or Mac is that the date fields, in this particular case, if I have a date field like up here, what's going to happen, it's going to show this scroller. Now with a scroller, you can't touch your way back in and edit. The only way you can do it is to move these pieces of information up and down, and you can't really modify it within the application itself when it's on an iPad or iPhone device. And what's that limitation causing? Well, if I look at this, I cannot go in here and actually make this a what I call a date range. I'd have to put in the information. I'm going to show you what it looked like if you were trying to put it on um, a other than a PC, pardon me, other than a iPad or iPhone. So what would happen is I can go into the field area, and I'm just going to simulate it over here. What you would basically do is you could use the greater than or less than in a field, and in this particular case it's doing odometer readings and it's doing a numerical field, so it's not going to allow you to do that. I'm just going to find something over here. For example, oh, that's a date field also. Let's go in here. Okay, now I have the ability to go in and look at greater than and less than field markings, for example. Greater than, less than, and equal to. And these are the kind of things that you're going to be using in a date field range thing if you're on a Mac or on Windows or on the server for a hosted app where you want to actually add a date range or look at numeric values where you're looking at it, for example, might want to find a range of mileage that people have gone to. So I could say starting with less than or equal to, which is less than this and the equal to, and put a range of say 10 miles. And then I can go greater than greater than or equal to, which is greater than or equal to, and I could put 100 miles. And I'll find every travel record where somebody has done travel in that area. Or it can be an ID number for an ID range. I can do the same thing. So that's how you do formulas when you're not in a device that's going to limit you to just the current date that you're looking at. In this particular case, I also could go and look at all travel on a certain date, or what I can do is use the list view, which is one of the next things we're going to look at. Let's go down and we'll bounce out of sequence just so we can see it. We have the employee list view, and I can go in and look at anybody that I want to as far as individual employees. So if I went in over here and I looked at this record and now I wanted to go to the portal record, I can go back to the portal record. If I do a find on just this record, employee record, now I'm looking at only their travel when I go to that travel portal. So it would limit the screens that I'm looking at here, and then I can use my next, prior, and last, and first buttons to go through and look at each individual travel based on the dates and information that's in the records. Now this is similar in the next screens we're going to be looking at, so let's go look at those. We have the expense portal, which looks a little bit different. Still has the employee information, the ID for the employee, the expense date, and each individual expense based on the information in this record, and then the amount of balance that's owed by the company to the employee for the travel when they put in their travel expenses. Now obviously for the individual traveler, this makes it quite easy for them to find the information for a period of time that they traveled and the information that they need to use to do a travel expense report. Let's go ahead and look at the next item, which is the meeting portal. And as I said before, this is a little greater area that makes it easier than just looking at it in a row in a portal to read the information for each individual record. And you navigate here by clicking on the portal for the individual record that you want to read, which makes it quite easy to find the information and go ahead and read the notes. And of course these scroll so you can read through them quite easily in this record. Let's go to the next screen, which is the employee list portal. And what this does is that one that we talked about for the email list. I said employee, what I meant was email list manager. And this is the one where we navigated. Now the only thing I didn't show in here, which I've shown in prior videos, if you want to edit the information in a row, for example, this says Gmail. If I wanted to go to the Google search and edit it, I can come up to these fields and edit them. You cannot edit in this screen, or should not edit in that field on the screen. And by the way, what you just saw there was something you can do on the iPhone if you needed to, or the iPad, where you can either use the pinch method to expand the screen to read it, or you can zoom in by double tapping, or with 3 fingers, double tap with 3 fingers, and it'll zoom in, and then again if you tap it, it will zoom out again. Then you have email usage requirements as far as if there's limitations in your own company about the email usage, you can put them in this area over here. And that should actually have some text in it that I normally put in there as far as information. It's a global, it goes through the entire app. Okay, so let's go now back to navigation, and we're looking at the last thing, which is the main video help, and then we're going to be looking at the business calendar. So let's go to main video help. And of course, if you've navigated here now, you already know that you can use this screen and all the different videos that are being recorded, which not all of them are completed because I'm doing it as we speak. They would add the individual videos. If you click here, it'll open up the video in this screen rather than going to YouTube. If you're on a iOS device, if you're on a Mac or Windows, it will open up to YouTube and directly show all this information on that screen where you can run all the individual videos. Let's navigate to the last screen, which is the business calendar. And in the business calendar, what this is actually Google. And it gives you obviously all the individual Google accounts that you can use. If you have a Google account, you would log in, and this would give you the ability to create a calendar. And what happens is each individual can have their own calendar, or you can have a company calendar, which is a company URL where you log into that using the password and username and see all the activity that's going on with the company calendar. And we suggest that that's something you would want to do. And then down here at the very bottom is a place where you can change the language. If you tap on it, it allows you to change what language you're using in the actual calendar area if you need to. And then there's also some help information over here. And of course, once you're inside the application and actually using it, it's going to give you the ability to go ahead and make other changes or work with other things like adding calendars and adding employee calendars yourself as you need to. If you have any questions about how all these screens function or about the application itself and you need assistance, go to the developer's website and request help from there. One of the things you can do if you need to is you can go in and you can add the individual calendar for the email list. You can add the developer's email in here, and then you would have a direct attachment to them as far as the email list, as far as the where you want to go and what you need to do as far as that particular person is concerned for contacts. Thank you for taking these videos, and I hope you enjoy this application. Thank you.